Hey everybody, it's Scott Shetler here at Extreme Performance Training Systems. In this video, I want to look at a kettlebell technique, a kettlebell lifting technique that we use during the kettlebell clean that I see a lot of people getting wrong when they perform the exercise. And that's how the wrist position ends up when we catch the kettlebell in the rack position of the clean. Now, oftentimes when I see people clean the kettlebell, when they come up to the catch position, I see the wrist bent back in a really bad position. And oftentimes that's due to the fact that they're gripping the handle of the kettlebell too tight. All right. So what I want to do is go over a couple of points of how we address that so that it helps you clean up the technique of your kettlebell clean. Now, when we're doing the kettlebell clean, we're swinging the kettlebell back between the legs and we're using a hip hinge to drive the kettlebell to create momentum on the kettlebell as it travels up. Once the kettlebell passes through the legs, we're actually tucking the elbow and we're rotating the kettlebell around the forearm, and we're catching it here in the rack position where we have the elbow parked on the hip or on the body near the hip, not pushed out in front of the body. The mass of the kettlebell is going to be resting in the V part of the arm that's created by the lower arm and the upper arm. When we're in the rack position, the mass of the kettlebell is going to be resting right there, and that's how we catch the clean. Now, it's important that we catch with a neutrally aligned wrist. We don't want to have the wrist bent back, and oftentimes that's a result of gripping the handle of the kettlebell too tight as we're doing the clean. When we're holding the kettlebell handle too tight, as the kettlebell comes up and we go to transition into the rack position, the elbow usually, or the wrist bends back as the elbow's being parked on the body, and we can't slide the hand through the handle of the bell, catching it in the palm heel where it's supposed to be. As a result, the wrist gets bent back, and over time this can lead to wrist injury and other problems. So when we're doing the kettlebell clean, we want to make sure that we're actually shooting the hand through the handle as we're going into the rack position and letting the handle slide down the hand so that it ends up diagonally on the palm heel of the hand. So, like I said, to do this wrong, let me show you what it typically looks like if I grip the kettlebell handle too tight. Watch how my wrist bends back at the catch. See how the wrist is torqued back here because I've been gripping the handle too tight as I go to transition in the rack position. Now, if it's done correctly, I catch the kettlebell with the handle at the palm heel of the wrist, and my wrist is in a neutral alignment. So you see it's simply just loosening up the grip, shooting the hand through the handle, and allowing the handle to slide down into the palm heel so that our wrist is now in a neutrally aligned position. And this allows us to maintain a good rack with the elbow on the hip or on the body near the hip and the mass of the kettlebell resting in the V created by the lower and the upper arm. So this is a big problem, this is a big issue that I see when people are typically doing kettlebell cleans, and it's something that can be cleaned up really easily. I think they just feel that as they're cleaning the kettlebell up, if they don't hang on to the handle, the kettlebell might go, flying in front of them, or they might lose their grip. But actually, once the kettlebell passes from between the legs and we bend that elbow, we've created a vertical motion on the bell. It's not going to fly away from the body. The kettlebell starts traveling up vertically, and all we need to do is redirect the hand by shooting it through the handle and almost rotating the handle around the bell. And what you're going to find is there's a quick flip and the kettlebell's resting right in the rack position. So I'll do a couple more reps. Keeping that elbow in nice and tight, not swinging way out in front of the body and reeling the kettlebell back in. That's another problem that I see. Once the kettlebell passes from the legs, we're going to shoot that elbow down. It's going to rotate up right into the rack position. So again, this is one of the biggest problems that I see with the kettlebell clean, and the kettlebell clean sets up all your overhead work as well with the presses, the push presses, and the jerks. So make sure you spend some time going over these little technical issues, cleaning up the clean exercise, and that'll help you build a good solid rack position so that you've got a good foundation to start your overhead kettlebell work with the presses, the push presses, and the jerks. So hopefully you like this video tip. Stay tuned for the next one, and as always, stay strong and stay healthy.